Hey y'all, it's a Sunday afternoon here. It's only, well, about 4 o'clock, and already I'm losing my natural light, which is a shame because I was hoping to use it today to make video. It's a video that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and I hope that you will be as amused and entertained by it as I am at the mere thought of it. I have, since I was a child, kind of collected records. When I was a kid, my dad worked in radio stations. He has a wonderful voice, and I basically grew up in radio stations. I remember being very little. Excuse me, I'm reaching down for things. Hello, up my nose. I remember being very small, and before my rotten little sister ever came along and ruined things, I remember going to the radio stations with my mom and dad, and there were nights where my mom, because she was very young when she had me, she was 21, and young and kind of naive and frightened to be home alone at night. My dad tended to work night shifts, and so we'd pack stuff for the night, and we go to the radio station. And in the women's restroom, there was you go into sort of a lounge before you actually get into the area with the commodes and stuff. I don't think I've said commode in about 10 years. Anyway, with the commodes, or the stools, as my great Auntie Gwen calls them. It always confuses me when she says stool, when she means turlet. But we'd go into the little lounge area, and there would be these sort of couches, and kind of Naugahyde couches. And we would, well, my mom at least would sleep on those. I was supposed to be sleeping, but I was too excited about being there to actually sleep most of the time. But I remember, well, I have many fond memories of being in the radio stations. I always just loved it. Nowadays, the news all comes to the station via computer, but it used to be, up until maybe 10 years ago, it was from a teletype machine. I'm getting so far off of my subject. Oh well, just humor me. Teletype machine, which is this huge, enormous, very heavy black metal machine that ran so hot you couldn't touch it or you'd burn yourself, and it was constantly going typing out news as it would happen and be, I guess, put through by the AP, Associated Press, and it came off in this constant roll of paper. Like, they put these huge, I can't gesture, huge rolls of paper in there, and it would just constantly be typing, and the paper would go off the back and onto the floor, or off the front and onto the floor, and whoever was doing that shift would go and pull the paper off of there and scan through real quick, find the news stories, either that they personally found interesting or the type of stuff that that radio station approved of, I suppose, and take it, these strips of news stories, and I don't remember what they did with them, if they pasted them on a board or what, but and that would be what they would read off of when they would do the news at the top of the hour. And I still remember the smell of that machine. I remember the heat coming off of it, and I still remember the smell. And any radio station back then that you would walk into, you would be hit by the smell of the teletype machine. And I kind of miss that. I don't suppose there's any stations anymore that still have that. But also, what I fondly remember from the old days of radio is entire huge rooms filled with just these bookshelves, just humongous bookshelves everywhere, just filled with record albums. I'm talking about vinyl and wax, y'all, the real deal. And they were alphabetized, and the DJ would go in and pull the records out, and I mean, they'd put them on a turntable and play actual records. Now, of course, it's computerized, and you don't have to deal with skipping records and things, which was pretty common. But at the house, we always had the best record cleaners and all this stuff. They also used the big reel-to-reel machines. We always had reel-to-reels at the house, and had old radio programs on them, like old-time radio, like Lum and Abner, and Jack Benny, and Fibber McGee and Molly, and all that really good stuff. We'd have tons of that. I think they're all rotten and decrepit out in the garage right now, unfortunately. and once in a while the radio station would clean out their shelves and get rid of certain things, cycle it out, and Dad would come home with these huge stacks of records, and it was great. And they'd get promotional stuff, and he'd bring home all this fun promotional stuff, like Mrs. Miller. I would kill for a Mrs. Miller album. I would love to have a whole album. But we had a couple of 45s. I can't find them. They were in my possession for a while. I don't know if my sister snatched them and took them to California with her or what, but they're probably still somewhere around here. And so records were a huge deal in our family and in our life. Most of what my parents had, my mom had a lot of Elvis Presley records, and when Dad was gone, we'd break them out and listen to them. And I was usually given free reign over all the old Elvis 45s, and I very fondly remember playing those 45s. And my dad liked a lot of things like Mantovani and easy listening stuff and classical. He had a huge classical collection. He was a classical composer and musician. And so there was a lot of classical records around, which he had a psychotic break one day after we moved to Arkansas, and he actually went out in the backyard and burned them all. Burned them. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of classical records. Burned. We had a lot of gospel, like big-haired gospel, because we were in the United Pentecostal Church, which that's an adventure all unto itself. I'll have to talk about that another day. My dad, really the only cool records he had were Dave Brubeck. And I loved his Dave Brubeck, and luckily those did not get burned. I've still got the Dave Brubeck albums, and they're wonderful. But and in the 80s I bought a lot of albums. Just pretty much every week I was at the record store buying something new. And I've still got most of them, and I buy records at thrift stores. And that's how I first got to be a Billie Holiday fan, because I found this big double album set back in Pasadena, Texas, many moons ago. And I have, at last count, I had over 800 albums and about 200 of the little 45s. I've since cleared out some of my collection. Things I never listened to, or things just weren't very good quality. Right now, I still, when I go in a thrift store, I gravitate over towards the albums, and I will sit on my butt on the cold, dirty floor if I have to look through boxes or stacks of albums, because I have, over the last 10 years especially, developed a taste that goes beyond the music that's on them, although certainly I will sometimes buy them for the music as well. But I have realized that there's this whole wide world of bizarre and beautiful record albums. I suppose record albums were pretty cheap to actually record and make, and just about anybody that wanted to would get in there and do it. And therefore there were just some amazingly strange and fabulous records that came out. Sometimes I will buy them for the covers, sometimes for what's inside, sometimes for both. And I still do buy things just because I too kind of like some of the old easy listening music. I'm a big Henry Mancini fan. Major Henry Mancini fan. So I think what I would like to do, and I've been wanting to do this for a very long time, and I actually started up a journal over on LiveJournal for it, but then that was right before I got really sick with cancer, and I just kind of, it fell by the wayside. But I keep looking down here because I've got a stack of records right down here that I'm wanting to use to start with. I want to show them to you. I think I will show you the cover. Any notes of interest on the back. Any kind of liner notes that might be amusing. I'll play a little bit for you. I won't make you listen to entire songs, but just little bits, give you a taste of what the album is like. And I hope that you will enjoy it. So let's get started, shall we?